Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, Katie and I are going to be talking about keeping marriage fun in the midst of busy seasons as parents. Many of you may relate to the reality of having young children, homeschool children even, and having your schedules really maxed out with home education, children's activities, church activities, property activities, various activities that in times past have actually divided marriages. But in the midst of these things, your marriage can be strengthened and you can actually have more fun than ever. I'm speaking from personal experience. I don't know if Katie can say the same thing, but all I can speak for in this episode is myself. And so I'm going to. Folks, before we get started, if you enjoy any of our episodes, we would greatly appreciate it if you're able to leave a rating or a review on whatever platform you listen on, whether that's iTunes or Spotify. And if you watch our podcast on YouTube, if you like the video or subscribe to the channel, that also helps our podcast grow as well. And we always appreciate it when you do that. So we will now get this thing started.
The Now That We're a Family podcast.
Elisha, before we go too far, I just wanted to let people know that we did a couple things this month over on Substack.
Great.
One is we put out a video of our evening routine, which we have mentioned before. Another, we just put out last week a video of our pantry organization. And so on our B-roll podcast, we call it a podcast, but we basically just, it's kind of like vlogging, but not that comfortable. And we showed you guys a walkthrough of our whole pantry, which I love. It's this huge room in our house. And if you guys want to check that out, you can go over to Substack. We put out one a month. And we also write about various things like homeschooling and what we're thinking about and put links there and all kinds of stuff. So anyways, that Substack's linked down below.
Yeah, our pantry is the coolest pantry I've ever seen. So,
and it keeps itself pretty organized.
Oh, yeah, because of your, I guess, foolproof systems.
And your help too. So anyways, yeah, it is really great. It's not the cheapest pantry in the world to create, but it was big. It's a lot of square footage. So anyways, if you would like to move into your pantry, you can check out that video. Okay, so happy marriages. That is what we are living today, folks.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Are you kidding?
Is that right? You think so?
You make me so happy.
Yeah, it's interesting when I think of the different seasons of marriage. And it's fun just saying that word, seasons of marriage, because we haven't been married a real long time, but we've been married. I do think we have objectively been through numerous seasons in our short marriage. And I think the big things that, married couples can relate to are children, right? That being one of the first significant changes in your marriage. And we got pregnant on our honeymoon. And so being parents together has been the bulk of our marriage journey. But each child brings new challenges and opportunities, and then also each age and each stage of the child brings unique challenges and opportunities. And then in addition to children, job changes are a big one. I think of different health crises married people can go through, or your children can go through, losing loved ones. There are, and we could go on and on.
Mental health struggles are big.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean, you think of church changes or disruptions in people's, fellowship, right? Like they're part of a church, it's tight knit, and then it breaks up for whatever reason, right? There's conflict, or there's, sin or something that breaks it apart. It can really be a jarring thing for a marriage. And when I think of where we're currently at, it is truly a new season in our marriage where I'm loving it, but we are not able to lean on or depend on some of the things that were so dependable for making marriage fun and enjoyable, even as little as, a year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago. And so I find that to be really encouraging because as many, marriage counselors or advisors would say, it's going to look different for every marriage, right? As far as the things that keep the romance alive, the things that keep the spark alive, that keep it fun, that keep it meaningful. And when you're leaning into pursuing that, I guess, when you are pursuing those things, you start getting creative and when it's a priority, you get creative, right? And right now we're in a season where you are maxed out. In my mind, it seems like, with homeschooling and housekeeping, it is wild the number of hours you put into those two things, and yet here you are, you make time to sit down and do the podcast, which I'm grateful for.
Oh yeah, I'm grateful for this.
But it's 7 days a week. And it really is. Even though you take a Sabbath, you take a 24-hour Sabbath, you have to do an extra day's worth of work in the day prior to the Sabbath, leading up to the Sabbath. And so
yeah, same thing for you. I mean, you're working more than you ever have. And then outside of those working hours, you are pouring into the children. And it is a, 5 to 9 lifestyle where I feel like we're on from early morning to late at night. And yeah, you just work your face off for our family, which I'm so grateful for. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to there aren't really a lot of flexible hours in our life now. Those have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think it's so gracious of the Lord he gives you one baby and you're just like all flustered. The baby sleeps. I think someone told me a baby sleeps like 18 hours a day, a newborn.
Wow. Someone
told me that when we just had Leon, our first. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like he is
always
up
awake
all the time. And then you have more children and you realize, wow, that newborn does sleep an awful lot compared to all these guys, and then kids drop naps and they get up a little earlier, they go to bed a little later, and you just find your time to yourself gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's a beautiful thing how the Lord just builds up that resiliency, I think, in parents as the number of children grow and the demand of kiddos increase. Yeah,
because you talked about losing time to yourself, and we've experienced that. And I think I resisted that for a time, and then more recently embraced it, and it's been so enjoyable. But you also can lose that time with each other, right? Where we had built in moments to connect. You can even go back to when the children are really young. You can have your own conversations at every meal. Right? Every meal that you're eating together as a family, when your children are just, 2, 3, 4, I don't know what age it stopped, but you get to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and they can, pipe in here and there, but like, it's basically the equivalent of a date night in the sense that, well, I know it's not never a date night, but you get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Like it's a date night, right? They're little ears and they just aren't, you can say whatever words, if you want to. All those bad words. No, I'm joking.
What words are we talking? You could say all the words. It's like subject matter doesn't matter. Yeah. Even, honestly, something we've been convicted about the last few years with our children is talking about other people. And that's been a very wonderful thing that the Lord has brought to mind and awareness of, we're just talking about, a family member or a friend or something like that. And a child pops up and is like, who? Or what so-and-so did? Or what? And then we're like, whoa, like we're gossiping. And we didn't have that conviction of sin until you have a little child ask and you realize, oh, I don't want that to get out. And then you're like, I shouldn't have said that.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you start having to tell your kids like, hey, don't tell them we said this, or you're like, oh, got it. Time.
Just not put them in that position.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, let's not repeat that. Okay.
Right.
It shouldn't have been said in the first place. Not that we just sit around and slander people, but I don't know. We have definitely had that awareness brought to the forefront with our children. Yeah.
And so now being in the season where, again, I think I'm getting excited because every time I'm blown away with what growth feels like. And then because of the Lord's graciousness, because of being committed to following through with the task that the Lord has for us, you grow and you grow in those capacities. Like it makes me more and more aware of the fact of the fact that I don't know what's ahead of us, meaning we only have an 8-year-old and we feel like we've entered these seasons of new complexity and new challenges. And we want to, Lord willing, have more children. And we want to be very intentional through our kids' whole teen, through the teen years and through them launching into the world as young adults. And between now and then is a whole bunch of, ceilings of complexity, so to speak, that we are going to need to learn to break through. And that's going to require new capabilities, new skills, new mindsets. And we have to stay in a place of growth mindset and not you can't ever think you arrived. You know, I mean, I know that that's a common phrase, but you really have to embrace the journey of growth and say, okay, that's right. Each day is going to present new challenges. And when you're in that mindset, you get to enjoy those little shoulder seasons of feeling like, hey, things are going pretty well, but they're not going to last. Right. But I think that makes you enjoy them all the more.
Yeah,
Like,
instead of fearing for the future,
yes.
be like, this isn't going to last, so I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yep. And I think each time one of those seasons comes and then we feel it drifting away, it is 100% our natural tendency to try to hang on to it. Be like, well, this was working a month ago, right? Like, remember how good that was when the kids would go down then and we would do this, and then like, this was all so sweet. Like, why can't that work now? And rather than acknowledging the fact that it's not working and finding a new solution. And so that's kind of more in regards to parenting. I wanted to speak in particular to marriage because I've found you to be more and more attractive in my life. And there is something about like scarcity that makes it like all the more fun just being alone and being together. And I think that when a huge, I guess, conviction I have now is when you are heading towards the same goals, you can feel very united, even if you're not working like shoulder to shoulder, like you're used to working shoulder. You might not be physically together, working side by side. Like, for instance, in the early days when you and I were side by side on the couch building businesses, with our laptop computers, and that felt so fun, and it was fun. Or even now, sitting side by side doing a podcast, working on something, you can feel very united, even if you're not physically together.
Yeah, like for instance, we drove to church separately this week.
Okay, well, that was an exception.
I know, I'm just joking.
But that is
we actually don't go anywhere together anymore, but it's great. We're still very alive.
You know what? That's a great example, because even though that was a total apparition.
An apparition.
No, not an apparition, an aberration or
aberration.
It was,
a
anomaly,
departure.
A departure. Yeah, a departure from the norm. It was for a very united purpose, right? Like we had our task lists for the day, and just so people know, we rest on Saturdays, and then we really kind of like end our rest when we go to church. That's kind of like,
yeah. And we have people ask, why don't you do this on Sunday? I'm like, you tell me.
Yeah.
How restful do you think it is to get all your kids dressed, go to church, come home, undress, the house is a war zone, whip up some food real quick. It's 3:00. Where'd the day go? That's just not my idea of a restful day.
Yeah, I think
it's well worth the effort, though.
I don't know what it is, but I do know that the people that are serious about like Lord's Day Sabbaths have like a theological reason, and I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, no, I think it's not a Lord's Day. I do think the theological reason for having a Lord's Day is there.
I know, but like having their Sabbath be the same as the Lord's Day.
Well, it's not a Sabbath. You can call it a Sabbath, but it's not a rest.
Yeah, it's not my rest.
Scrap the Sabbath word. That's fine, because it has Judaic ties, right?
Right.
The Lord has Sabbath on the seventh day. The Lord rested, right? So even before the Jewish Sabbath and Shabbat and all that.
Oh, God. Yeah.
God rested.
Yeah. Yes.
So if we just take that out and we insert the word rest there, then the Lord's Day rest does not happen whether you say it does or not. Yeah,
because I think like we see Sunday as the Lord's Day for sure. And we take worshiping corporately seriously. And this last Sunday was a huge blessing, honestly. It's like felt like the first time we got to be together as a family for a while. But I don't see that, we don't view that as a rest day. No. And I don't know if that's wrong or not, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, you can lie all you want about it. Say this is the most restful day we ever had, but the truth is we're wiped.
Yeah, and it's not just the church that's not restful. Like the church, it's if it was just like, oh, you go to church and then you get to rest the rest of the day. But I've never had a life where I could do that because Monday's huge for us on a business front. And so I come home from church and I start work on Sunday afternoon at about 1 p.m. So like that's when I start my work week, and that's not what we're talking about, but that's but that's a fact, okay?
But it's a fact. So anyways, we're going to keep resting on. I do believe in distinction of days being very important. So for instance, someone saying every day is the Lord's day. Well, yeah, no duh. He did create every day. Every day is his day. But we do celebrate certain things on certain days, and I do think and I think we see that in scripture. throughout all of Scripture, Old Testament and New Testament. Certain days are very important. So when we say the Lord's Day, yes, every day is the Lord's Day, but we do worship with everybody on Sunday. And we take a break from work on another day. So anyways, maybe we'll be convicted of that down the road in terms of, well, maybe you're just supposed to work 6 days and then get through the 7th. So we'll see.
But anyways, going back to that's a great example of being united in mission, even though we weren't united physically or we weren't together physically.
We aren't usually united physically on Sunday morning.
Well, it's happened, but what were we talking about? So
you're getting off. Okay, so what are things that we do during this season that are so great? Insert clip from The Love We Choose. I feel like this song is so applicable to what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, well, one thing that this is going to be like sounds so superficial and so basic, but your new wardrobe like just gets me so fired up. I like it so much. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys
that's the most appropriate word I could think of.
Pull out your floral dresses.
No, I love this dress. This isn't the one in part.
I know.
This there's I think like 2 or 3 outfits that you've incorporated into your wardrobe over the last couple of weeks that I get to see you across the parking lot. I get to see you even like I'm teaching the kids fiddle lessons and you're over in the kitchen and I'm like, let's go. That's my wife. And that's really fun. And there is something that's really, I think, fun about that tension that can like almost reoccur, you know, like when you're dating and then you have so many boundaries physically, right? And you can't, and you're like, oh, there's that sexual tension and there's so much anticipation.
I was wearing a burqa in the kitchen. There was all these boundaries physically.
What?
I'm just joking. I'm just picturing like if I was wearing a burqa in the kitchen, then, you know.
Oh, that's not. No. I'm talking about like, when all the kids are around, the boundaries are the kids.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Not the amount of clothes I'm wearing. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, when you're dating, it's like, we've got boundaries here, but you still feel that tension. And now I feel like the kids are like the boundaries where we're like, we can't do anything about this right now because all the kids are around, but it's really fun to look forward to it or just anticipate you and then just to enjoy you, you know, for the beauty that you are. And so I've found that to be more and more a part of just how I guess, view you, you know, like there's more and more of that, which I think is really fun. Like it brings a lot more intrigue and interest into marriage. Not that it wasn't there before, but it's like that is an upside to being very busy with children. There's this element of like, wow, like it's been a while since I've been alone with my spouse. Like I really look forward to that.
You do really look forward to that. And you're so, I mean, I do too.
Yeah, you know how much I do. Yeah.
I do too. But I'm just saying, I do think that's a general concept. I think people can share that as points against, but it can also be points for. And I think it depends on your desire for your spouse. If you are really feeling drawn toward your spouse, having children in that separation can actually be a net win in your emotional and physical intimacy. It's a net loss when you're using them as the distraction. And I think that comes from, you know, if you're saying, well, we're just too busy with kids, we can't find time for physical intimacy, or we're too busy with the kids, we can't find time to engage emotionally and connect mentally and things like that, then we're using them as a distraction and an excuse that we want to have. They're a barrier that we are erecting in between our spouse and us.
Yeah, I wasn't even talking about physical intimacy as it was keeping me from. But I guess that's one way you could have taken that.
No, I'm saying anytime.
I'm joking. Yeah, of course I was.
Okay.
No.
Okay, wow.
I totally agree. And I would even say that whether or not it was, I don't think you've ever intentionally used the children to be a diversion or, interference for our relationship. But I remember
take the toddler. I'm running away.
Yeah.
Diversion.
Exactly. I know at times when it started feeling like they were, that it was hard. It was difficult to work through, and there was potential for resentment there. And none of that's ever like stewed for a long time.
What do you think gets us out of those seasons? Or what do you think,
Well, communicating it first and foremost.
Yeah, like you saying that you feel like the kids are becoming my sole focus.
Yeah. And I think this, I mean, again, keeping short accounts is such a great principle for marriage. And so I want to get better at this. I feel like you're good at it. Like if you feel slightly offended by anything and you take something the wrong way, just like get it out there sooner before it festers, and then all of a sudden you've got this whole, presentation to bring before your spouse. If you can just be like, hey, like when you did this, it just kind of seemed like, you were disrespectful, or it seemed like you were disconcerted with my well-being, and you can have the conversation usually a lot more in a lot more temperate way, tempered way. And so I think this happened pretty recently, actually. I think with you, I was just thinking about this.
You talking about last night?
That was pretty recent. No, it wasn't.
Like 5 minutes ago before we got on the podcast?
No, I wasn't.
That time?
Maybe that's why I'm just loving my marriage right now. But that was it seemed like a very civil conversation. It was a great conversation. It was just like a very, because I'm so accustomed to feeling on the same page with you when we're putting time and hours, and when we're putting hours and money and energy into things pertaining to the kids. It's like, oh, we both know why we're doing this, and it feels very united. There was like one thing that I was like, I'm a little confused here. Like, where is this showing up, in our priorities for the kids? And it wasn't even that I felt like that was affecting our marriage necessarily, because I think it was
over time it does.
Exactly, over time.
If one spouse is prioritizing something and the other spouse isn't,
yes,
then that is not going to be great long term.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that when there's that potential, or it already exists for the children, the time that either one of the spouses is pouring into them, because I know that, if you're a homeschool parent, the mom spends a bulk of the time with her children and she can really pour into that. But dads can do this just as much with projects around the house, or with sports with their kids, or just spending time with their kids, being like, I want them to be good at this, or I want to watch movies with them, or I want them to, learn this skill set or work on this project. And if it's not aligned with the family vision, meaning like you and your spouse aren't aligned with it, it can totally have the same effect.
And I think that I feel very blessed in our relationship because I do feel very aligned with you vision-wise for the children. And I think that this is something, because ultimately as a wife, you got to submit to your husband's vision for the family.
Was that like a real cop, or was that like a disclaimer? Like, you've got to submit to your husband's vision.
No, I don't do this perfectly, but there's not a biblical mandate. There is a biblical mandate for a man to live with his wife according to knowledge. Yeah. And Elisha's so gracious to do that with me. But he's the one who answers to God for where time was allotted, where money was allotted. And most of the time it is his time and money. And if it's not, we are created to help our husbands first and foremost. And so that is I'm pulling that from Eve being Adam's help me. And so if one way we can help them is in raising their children. And I say their children, obviously they're ours together, but that is a job where even if I am pouring into the kids, if it's aligned with Elisha's vision for the children, then I'm helping him in that process. Right. It doesn't have to be a jealousy issue. And I think that sometimes jealousy can really arise in a relationship. And it's happened in our marriage when one of us feels like one person's really invested into the children and taking them a certain direction, and then the other spouse feels left out in the cold. And so I do feel like the only way that this works is if I can help you fulfill your vision through parenting the kids. And anytime I'm really trying to push my own agenda there, right, it leads to friction in a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that on the men's side of things, we can easily make provision an idol in the pursuit of our career, advancing in our career, or growing our income, or growing our net worth, go beyond what is actually good for the family. Be like, hey, like, wow, we're at the family, like you get to that, like, family's provided for. Now, is it, just like ambition at this point, selfishness, ego, pride, or you think of hobbies. Hobbies can easily turn into this for me, and probably for other men, where you're like, this actually isn't helpful anymore, or even aligned with the family vision, and that can become a total conflict in a marriage, right? Where it's like, this is time now that you're putting time into your hobby that is not good for the family or for our marriage, right? Like, and as a result, it's not good for our marriage, basically. Because I think that's what I've seen recently with our marriage is even though we're getting less time that's just you and me talking about what we want to talk about and, doing whatever we want to do. I feel more aligned with you than ever. And I'm like, I feel exactly what you just said. When you are pouring into our children and when you're pouring into our home, I'm like, wow, I feel honored. I feel respected because it's like you're doing this. It's like you are my helpmeet in those things. I'm like, this is wild. I have this vision and she's executing, this vision. And it's such a gift. And I would want you to feel the same way when I'm doing something that's taking me away from you physically, right? Taking me away from you or the children physically, say it's providing where you're just kind of like, awesome. Like he's doing that thing, like where this was the vision that he set in place and he's executing on it. And then when it gets outside of that, I think being able to have those conversations sooner rather than later, right? And if it's festered for a long time and you want to bring this up to your spouse, do all you can to not, let emotion lead out. Speaking of emotion.
My word. I kept smelling the stinkiest smell. And I was like, there's got to be a stink bug close by. And it was in my shirt sleeve crawling up my arm. I just squished it. Now it really stinks. Okay, sorry, Elisha.
Is it this one? Right there? Is it that?
Yes. Oh, wow. I murdered it. But no, I agree with you. I think of that with you going and providing. I think that this can be a point of friction in couples if a mom feels like she's staying at home and is, feels overburdened or overwhelmed with what is going on at home. And then she feels like, well, my husband's going out and he's having a business lunch with so-and-so and he's dressed up and he smells good when he leaves and he's dressed and he smells good when he comes home. And, I can barely keep my act together here. But I think you can do away with that when you realize, what he is doing is not this self-service. It's not this fulfillment that's outside of the family. It's providing for our family. And I get to buy these groceries. I get to buy clothes for the kids. I get to invest in the kids' extracurriculars because of the work that he's doing. And so having that perspective is a huge blessing. And I am so grateful for all the work that you put in. I just feel like abundantly blessed because you fund my entire life.
Well, what's a gift though,
benefactor.
Katie, and this is something that I think that if you love your spouse and you care for them, you want them to also enjoy the work that they're doing. And so when I see you just having fun with our children's homeschooling and keeping the home, it's a blessing to me. And I know you want me to enjoy work, right? It's not like, well, if he's having fun providing, then it doesn't really count. Or if she's having fun, raising the children, then it doesn't really count because I'm over here. It's like, no, you should want that for your spouse. When they're really, I guess, getting fulfillment from the work that the Lord has for them.
Mm-hmm. So if we were to summarize some of these things, one, get new clothes.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's so superficial, but it honestly, like yesterday at church, that outfit, I was like, yes, that is awesome. You look so great.
So this is funny. I think some guys probably care about aesthetics and some guys are like, I'd prefer if you didn't spend any money on clothes. Like that would make me happiest. So you have to know your husband, but chances are your husband has a particular style that he appreciates. I know my dad was very specific with what he was proud of my mom in, and you have this specific style that you would like me to dress like, and you're not overbearing about it, but it's something that you have made known to me recently. And so it's been this new learning curve for me to take my current style and then affordably kind of move it towards a direction that you really find pleasure in.
Yeah, I've always loved your style, but I think as our life's shifted style, I've gotten more and more appreciative of those styles, right? Like having it reflect your in particular, dress. I want mine to reflect it as well. But yeah, I've always appreciated your style, but I think you said it very well. It's not like I've just always wanted you to go out and buy new things and to put something nice on. The last couple of outfits that you've put together, I feel like, wow, you did that kind of for me and for the current season of life that we're in. You did it in an affordable way. So it's not that I just like it aesthetically and I love, the way you look in it. I also love the heart behind it. I'm like, dude, it means more than just, it means a lot to me. And so, Yeah, there are layers to that, I guess.
Yeah, there's layers, but I do think that as a wife, you are an extension of your husband. And I think that's something that I have taken for granted sometimes. Sometimes I've just thought of myself totally autonomously from Elisha. So it's like, this is how I would like to present at this event. And it has caused friction in our marriage. And over time, learning to be like, oh, this is something that we should be aligned on is when I go out in public, what am I conveying about my husband? And first and foremost, my savior, but then after that, in a very practical way, my husband. And I'm always so proud to be seen with you. That was, my dream my entire life was to be seen as Elisha's.
Oh, I feel the same way.
It is an honor to be seen with you, but that makes me really happy that you feel that way. And then I do think, letting that, the children and things like that be a net win for your marriage and enhance that desire instead of a net loss. I also think, viewing what the other spouse is doing, just a thankful heart. I think of Corinthians where it says, in everything give thanks. And just really thanking your spouse for the most minute things. It really transforms how your brain views what your spouse is doing and realizing they are putting in this effort for me. And like Elisha said, whether they enjoy it or not is irrelevant. They're doing it as a gift. It is a gift. And then outside of that, I think we've had a lot of fun with similar interests.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
What are some of those interests, Katie?
Elisha wants to know. So I would say music is one.
I thought you were going to, so is physical intimacy not one of those? I thought we were going to start with that one. No.
Physical interest, physical intimacy is a mutual interest. That has been something that we've always been interested in, though.
Yeah,
I would say aside from I think we talked about the podcast. There was like a little dip there for a couple months where we were both like, what do we do? We've never gone through something like this.
Gone through what?
Oh, back where I was pregnant and we were just having a hard time both getting on the same page.
With physical intimacy? Well, okay. I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
We did a podcast
Which child?
on it if you want to look it up. It was right after we moved to Claiborne.
Oh, okay. So this is way back in the day.
I think there was just there was just so much transition going on in our lives. I don't know what we chalked it up to on the podcast, but that was like the first time we'd ever had different levels of desire.
Got it.
I would say.
Got it.
Other than that, I had the biggest crush on Elisha my whole life, and I still do.
Same.
So.
Well, yeah. Bigger than ever.
Yes. So anyways, that's been fun. When Elisha says embracing the scarcity, my first thought was like, what, are you enjoying that? Like, I'm not pregnant right now for like that scarce window of like a week, a couple months.
No, I've enjoyed it in all the seasons. Yeah.
No, but that's
not the hobby that I know or the same interest that we are going to talk about. So yeah. So similar interests. What were you going to say?
I think music's been one of them.
That's been a blast.
And that's been a new thing this year that we have done together.
Yes.
It's always been an interest of yours. And I had an interest in it for the sake of the children. Like I enjoyed hearing Elisha's music and I wanted him to pursue that. And then I really wanted our children to play music. But this year it's been something that we've really enjoyed doing together. And it's been a whole, I don't know, it's brought a lot of joy into our relationship.
Again, it's been a blessing to me. And, this is a plug for our music. You can go over, we'll link our Spotify channel because some of the music that we've written together is now live on Spotify for you to listen to.
I'm just thinking of Love We Choose the whole time. One is because I think I did wear this dress in the music video.
That's right.
But then two, it's like it kind of just talks about the different seasons we go through life.
Right. Yeah. But that has been a blessing to me because I think that I know moving to the tent brought a lot more of a simplistic joy to music more than I've ever had. I think it was because I only had one like cheap guitar with me out there. Like we didn't bring our nice instruments out for the majority of the time because of weather, just keeping them in good condition. And so I just had this little guitar and I rarely had even a pick, and I do all my flat pick for most of my playing. And so I was just using, playing fingerstyle guitar with this little guitar, and for whatever reason, that opened up a whole new joy of music. And then feeling the freedom to just sing with wherever my range is at, whatever tone I have, and not trying to be something that I'm not, was really liberating. And then I feel like kind of hit that stride together. And then writing music became a very cathartic thing for both you and I. It was shortly after baby number 1, and then
number 6.
Baby number 6, yeah, it was January
1 or 6. Yeah. It's always fresh.
Yeah, and then your Uncle Dwight passed away, and then we were in a very awkward living situation. We were jumping from Airbnb to friends' houses to families' homes, all of it, and we just kind of like always had a guitar. And you and I started writing music as a very kind of,
we didn't really want to talk about life at
exactly.
that stage.
We didn't want to talk about life.
We just have to get through the next day. We just have to get through the next day.
Yes.
And so it was fun. We're such visionary people. We like to talk about the future, but the future was just so daunting.
Yes.
And so discouraging. We're kind of in the depths of despair there for a little bit. And so just, writing music was just totally different. It was kind of like a form of escapism, but where we felt good about ourselves when we were done.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, like escapism that we could feel good about, and stand by. So that's been a huge one. Something that you and I have connected on from actually less recently. I'd say not very much recently, but for the first, 6 years of our marriage, 7 years of our marriage was business. It's like we just talked our faces off about business, went to business conferences, built businesses together, started businesses, talked about business, and loved that,
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. In fact,
we don't do that anymore.
That's what I was saying. We don't do that anymore. And I think had you told me like 3 years ago that we weren't going to talk about business ever, I would have been like, well, then we're not going to talk ever. Like, that's the only thing.
You're so right.
We would just talk. That's what we would talk about and think about and read about and discuss. And so, yeah, it's pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
That's just not so much a part of our relationship. And then, I'd say theology is something else that philosophy now too. Like, people know that after our last episode, the philosophy books are filling our bookshelves. Sorry, I'm running off a bunch of things.
We are going deep. I think it's good. I think it's good to give people different ideas of things these are new interests. I think that's something that, the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, brought out is we have control over our desires and our dislikes.
We've said that for years now.
Appetites.
We've said that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was like, Elisha's been saying this for forever. We think, I just like it because I like it. No, you can choose to like it or you can choose not to.
Yeah.
Incredible. Anyways.
And it doesn't happen instantly. You get to develop it. You get to develop an appetite for different things.
So we have created dislikes for things that used to be desires.
Exactly.
We've chosen to dislike them. And we now have new desires like theology. Major dislike of mine my whole life until I got married to Elisha and 4 years into our marriage. And then it became a thing. And then it's gone through different iterations. And then it became such a huge thing that we decided to take a little break from it.
Yeah. Okay, time to bring out the philosophers. Okay, let's put the theologians away for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
The theologians are currently on the back porch not the back porch. Yeah, the back porch. They're chilling out there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring them in the kitchen and give them a meal at a later time.
Yeah.
But we're taking a little breathing room from those guys. So now we're on the philosophers. But I think that's something that I love is when Elisha and I, we don't read devotionals together. We don't even read the same sections in the Bible together. We don't read, unless you're reading aloud to the kids or something like that.
Family reading time. Yeah.
We don't often read the same books. We have read some of the same books. We've read them on totally different time schedules, but we always talk about what we're reading, where we're reading,
right.
And the other person takes an interest in it.
Yep.
I've been so grateful for Elisha doing that with me. And I always am interested when you share what you're learning and reading.
Are you kidding me? It's like I feel like I'm multiplying my time.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, oh, great, you're reading that. Tell me what you think about it. And I feel like I get access to it in a unique way.
Like when he's reading his book club books and he'll tell me about them, I feel like, oh wow, I totally get all this insight into the book.
Yeah.
Or a theology book you're reading or a philosopher that you're reading. And so it's really fun because you do feel like you're kind of maximizing your time and both people are coming with new fodder for the conversation. Like we never run out of things to talk about and we talk for hours and hours and hours. Like we talk more to each other than I think most spouses can ever fathom talking to each other.
Yeah.
We talk probably too much.
Yeah. We get interrupted a lot by the kids. So we try to incorporate them into the conversation.
Well, I love road trips for that reason.
Oh, yeah,
I love the podcast for that reason.
Yeah. And I will say this too. We haven't mentioned one time. Have you noticed, folks? We haven't even mentioned date night. right?
No, yeah, you're right.
And date nights, I'd say we had a good run there for maybe 6 years of doing date nights, maybe on a weekly basis.
Yeah, maybe up to 7 years. When we moved out into the tent, they stopped on a weekly
changed. Okay.
basis.
So
we didn't feel comfortable with the babysitter coming out to the tent.
Yes.
With the dog situation, with the fire.
The creek.
With the creek.
Yeah.
The animals, all of it.
Yeah.
We did have a couple sweet women come out a couple times.
Right. We got a couple dates when we were living in the tent.
Yes.
Great.
But they were few and far between. Maybe like 2 date nights or maybe 3.
Yeah.
Over those 6 months.
Yep. And then I think maybe in there too, we visited your family and they took the kids for us to go on a date night, which was nice of them. So I say that to say, we love date nights. Like that is something that we cherish deeply. And it is a unique season now. I think moving to the tent got us out of that rhythm and kind of that expectation. And now that we're back in a home, I think we can get back to that. It is more logistically challenging again, because it's further for babysitters, right? They're not as accessible. The expenses is greater now to make it more worth their time. And then we've got less nights available because of kids' activities, right? And so that is a real thing. And we still enjoy our date nights greatly, but I'd say once a month.
I'd say once a month is our goal.
Yeah.
I feel like it starts to be... I feel like we kind of need it once a month.
Right. It'd probably be better if it was more frequent.
No, I don't think so. Like, I feel like we have a lot of opportunity to, it really makes it a treat. It makes it a treat. But I do think
like once every 3 weeks would probably be like,
probably the sweet spot
where it's fun.
On the 4th week, I'm like, when's our date night?
Yeah,
I'm starting to get all
like,
flustered.
Exactly. It's not like this fun surprise that I planned it. It's like about time, you bum. And so,
Peter.
You never said that.
Okay. But yeah, my attitude, I start to like get all, I can't be interrupted while I'm talking anymore. Like it builds up. I just want to have a conversation with Elisha and not be interrupted about that often.
Yeah.
I guess. So anyways, and just not have those cares. And there is also something to, like, I don't think anything can replace a date night in terms of it builds into your marriage in a way where the kids are just 99% of your life when you have a big family and everything is going into them. And we do want our marriage to, that is the fruit of our marriage, which is beautiful. But we want our marriage to be independent, like outside of that too. And stand on its own 2 feet.
Right.
And so I do think it's a reminder of like, oh, we can have a wonderful time together. Yep. You know, there was a couple that I was visiting with and we offered to babysit so they could go on a date night. She was like, I don't even know what we do. I don't know what we talk about. Like the kid, and it was just kind of shocking to me. Whoa. Like, you don't want a marriage like that. Like you don't want a marriage where you don't know what you do and you don't know what you talk about, because at that point the kids are serving as a distraction and they will eventually be gone one day.
Right.
So I think there's something to that. I also think there's something about getting dressed up for your spouse, going out in a public setting, and just remembering that you're each other's first.
Yes.
And it's just a real gift.
It is. You're right. Being seen with you, that is such a gift, Katie. We need to go. We need to increase that from once a month. I really do think it is something that brings a lot of life into our marriage. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's completely replaceable. I don't think the frequency differs, based on money and children, breastfeeding babies, how long you can leave them, availability of babysitters, whatever. Yes. I'm not here to say if you don't, nowhere in the Bible does God say if you don't have a weekly date night,
right?
Your marriage is toast.
But you can't replace. But a date night is its own unique thing.
It is its own unique thing in your marriage that you can't replace with a night at home with a movie and popcorn. Like you just can't.
Yes.
And so there is something about going out.
Yeah. Getting away from your chores and the responsibilities of the home. Yeah, getting away from the home, I think.
And maybe it's only twice a year you can swing it, but it's something that I would encourage couples to still do.
Right.
Both of our parents did go on date nights. I think that's something that they were encouraging of. It was different frequency and different seasons. And it's something I want to continue to fight for and not just be like, well, we do this instead.
Yep.
We could do other things in the interim period, but nothing replaces a date night.
Yes.
Just that carefree timelessness. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah, I think getting away from the house, because that's the thing. Like, you can do it in a very affordable way, right? I think that even if you just got away from the house, even if you don't feel like buying a meal or anything like that. Kind of get back to that whole date. I mean, going back to like that when you were dating, that was, again, not not that everything had to be like pushing the envelope all the time, but it was really special when you and I got to get alone, right? And during those dating times, I was like, oh, just being in the car with your spouse can be a really fun thing.
Like finally being able to utilize the car.
Exactly.
That's great.
Well, I think that's what's kind of fun, honestly, because it's like
You can actually go on a date and hang out in the car if you want.
yes, and so
versus
that can be
feeling
really
guilty about
fun, you know. Exactly. Well, yeah, and we never did anything that
No,
was
no,
crazy
we
when we
didn't.
were dating.
No.
But that's the whole point. Is that now we can.
Exactly. Now I can do things crazy because
Yes.
we're married.
Exactly. And so that can happen without like having to go get a meal or whatever and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyways, I can't think of any better way to actually end this thing. So we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, yeah.
Folks,
yes.
thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.